and Myanmar journalists have recently joined an experience sharing panel organized by media monitoring group Media Inside Out. Starting with Myanmar journalists, the speaker Shitwin Mong, chief editor of Tamaga Union Journal, gives the overview of the recent changes and developments in the country with the abolition of the Press Censorship Board and the launch of private daily newspapers in the country after 50 years of monopoly. He stated that Myanmar journalists have enjoyed the media relaxation as a result of the reforms implemented by President Thein Sein. They are free to write and criticize many prominent figures, including the president. They no longer have to submit their stories to Press Censorship Board. However, the freedom is not 100%. Issues such as Rohingya or Bengalis, as called by the locals, or the lives of former generals are considered as sensitive. Moreover, there are shortcomings that come with greater media freedom in Myanmar. For example, with the launch of private daily newspaper, only 3 leading newspapers are selling well, but others are still struggling due to limited investment and distribution channels. The quality of reporting and professional standards is main concerns in the wake of media freedom in Myanmar, as some claim that local media is part of the escalation of the anti-Muslim sentiment in the country. Shitwin Mong, member of Myanmar Press Council, admitted that journalists in Myanmar still need capacity building.
And we still need more capacity building in our country for young journalists. Now, most of the journalists working in the news media, they need to be trained as a professional journalist because as you see, some of the journalists they are criticizing for some issue are not very professional.
For Thai media, regional news editor from English language newspaper The Nation seconded that media freedom will not be as important as media capacity building, citing his own experience working with Myanmar local media partner. He further emphasized that Myanmar journalists should have fair treatment, which means giving fair space for both parties involved in a story or conflict to speak out. The senior reporter raised an example of lack of media space for the Rohingya or Bengalis in Myanmar. According to him, for sensitive issues, there should be a standard on how those issues should be dealt properly.
I can divide into something like the most serious issue, 3M. The first one in Thailand is very serious, is monarchy. The second one is missionaries, religions. And the third one is maybe less sensitive for even in Myanmar, like military. We can say many things about military. We can criticize the top brass, we can criticize everything. Missionary in some country, like in Thailand, we can now. We criticize bad monk, sinful monk, or what kind of monk we can criticize all of them. In Thailand, we have the problem. We have like our colleague Pavit here, I think. We also have problem. We should admit that we have that kind of problem. What we dealing with this kind of issue, we just pretend not to say about it, or just turn the back to it, or just leave it for somebody to talk it, and we don't keep silent anymore. I think it's become more and more problem inside, like something happened in the Michelin in Myanmar issue, like religion issue in Myanmar. You cannot just avoid this, but you have to face this at eventually, whatever, or short or in the long period you have to dealing with. But find a way, I think at least we should group together and find a system how to deal with this properly, at least to say that we can do our job and don't further even feel further conflict in the countries. Maybe this is the key.
Moreover, he added that Thai media organizations should invest more to have Thai journalists working in Myanmar and other neighboring countries. Another prominent Thai investigative journalist from Bangkok Post shared her views that in Thailand, freedom of the press is not a problem, but the problems are the self-censorship and the responsibility of media personnel. However, media scene in ASEAN is currently changing. There are more journalists from outside ASEAN interested in covering the region, but she said Thailand is not outward-looking enough and should also invest more in reporting about ASEAN.
We will cover Burma or Laos or Vietnam when Thai interests, Thai politicians, Thai business, clash or team up with those counterparts in those countries.
She further commented, media has become more business-driven industry, hardly for the benefit of community. From the discussion, the conclusion can likely be drawn that media ethics and professionalism should be maintained at all costs amid the growing business-driven environment and the increase of conflict and sensitive issues in the region. These conclusions can be lessons for Myanmar to develop its recently opened media landscape. On Ravita Misang from Myanmar Focus Daily.